The silence that fell over the restaurant was deafening. Every eye turned to watch the confrontation unfolding at table 7, where a man in a simple button-down shirt stood protectively beside a little girl with braided hair and mismatched socks. Across from them, the restaurant manager hovered nervously while Vivienne Blackwood, heiress to the Blackwood fortune and notorious for her cold demeanor, stood frozen, her perfectly manicured hand still extended toward the child. "She's with me," the man had said, his voice quiet but firm. Those 3 words, spoken without hesitation, would change everything. If you're wondering how a single father with nothing to his name came to face off against one of the most powerful women in the country, and why that moment would transform both their lives forever, stay with me. This story might just remind you why second chances matter and how love appears in the most unexpected places. If this resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories that warm the heart and restore faith in humanity. It had begun like any other Tuesday for Ethan Parker. The alarm blared at 5:30 a.m., giving him just enough time to shower before waking his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. The morning routine was a well-choreographed dance they'd perfected over the past 3 years, ever since Lily's mother had walked out, deciding that motherhood and marriage weren't for her after all. "Daddy, can I wear my dinosaur shirt today?" Lily asked, rubbing sleep from her eyes as Ethan gently brushed her dark curls. "The one with the T-Rex? It's in the laundry, sweetheart." "How about the purple one with the stars?" he suggested, already reaching for it in her drawer. Lily's face fell slightly, but she nodded. "Okay. But can we wash Rex tonight? I want to wear him tomorrow." "Deal," Ethan said, helping her into the shirt before moving to the kitchen to prepare breakfast, simple oatmeal with sliced bananas and a drizzle of honey, the way Lily liked it. As they ate, Ethan reviewed his mental checklist for the day. Drop Lily at school by 7:45. Arrive at the restaurant by 8:30 for his shift as a line cook. Pick Lily up from after-school care by 5:30. Make dinner, help with homework, bath time, story time, bed by 8 o'clock. Then his second job, remote data entry that he could do after Lily was asleep, until his own eyes grew too heavy to focus. It wasn't the life he'd imagined for himself 10 years ago when he'd been a promising culinary student with dreams of his own restaurant. But it was their life, and he was determined to make it work. "Ready for school, Lil Bug?" he asked, helping her with her backpack. "Ready," she declared, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Ethan knelt down to her level. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Lily fidgeted with the strap of her backpack. "Today is special person day at school. The other kids are bringing their moms or grandmas or aunts." Ethan felt the familiar pang in his chest. These moments, when the absence of Lily's mother became glaringly obvious, were the hardest. "Would you like me to come instead?" he offered, already calculating how he could possibly rearrange his shift. Lily shook her head. "Boys are bringing dads. Girls are supposed to bring moms." Her voice was small, matter-of-fact in the way children sometimes are about heartbreaking things. Ethan pulled her into a hug. "I'm sorry, Lilybug. I wish I could fix this for you." "It's okay, Daddy," she said, patting his cheek with her small hand. "Ms. Jenkins said I can just help her instead." The drive to school was quieter than usual. Ethan tried to fill the silence with cheerful chatter about the science project they'd been working on, but his mind was elsewhere, wondering for the 1000th time if he was enough for his daughter. After dropping Lily off with a kiss and a promise to pick her up on time, Ethan headed to Bellamy's, the upscale restaurant where he'd worked for the past 2 years. It wasn't his dream job, but Chef Marcus appreciated his skills and was understanding about his situation as a single parent, which was worth more than a higher salary elsewhere. "Morning, Parker," Marcus called as Ethan entered through the back door. "Need you on sauces today?" Paolo called in sick. Ethan nodded, hanging up his jacket and donning his chef's whites. Sauces were his specialty anyway, the one area where Marcus gave him free rein to experiment. The morning prep went smoothly, and by noon, the restaurant was filling with the usual lunch crowd, business executives, ladies who lunched, and the occasional tourist who'd read about Bellamy's in a guidebook. Ethan lost himself in the rhythm of the kitchen, the familiar dance of heat and timing and flavor that had drawn him to cooking in the first place. He was just finishing a perfect béarnaise when Marcus appeared at his station, looking uncharacteristically nervous. "Vivienne Blackwood is here," he said in a low voice. The name sent a ripple of tension through the kitchen. Vivienne Blackwood, daughter of real estate mogul Richard Blackwood and heir to his empire, was notorious in the restaurant industry. Her reviews could make or break establishments, and her standards were impossibly high. "Table 9, Marcus continued. "She's requested to speak with the chef who prepared her sauce. Said it was the best she's ever tasted." Ethan blinked in surprise. "My hollandaise?" Marcus nodded. "I'd go myself, but she specifically asked for the chef responsible. Can you handle it?" "Of course," Ethan said, though his stomach knotted with anxiety. He quickly wiped his hands on a towel and straightened his uniform before following Marcus out to the dining room. Vivienne Blackwood was exactly as he'd imagined from the magazine photos, elegantly dressed in a tailored suit that probably cost more than his monthly rent, her dark hair swept into a sleek chignon, her posture perfect as she sat alone at her table. What the photos hadn't captured was the intensity of her gaze when she looked up at him. "Ms. Blackwood, this is Ethan Parker, our sauce specialist," Marcus said with a deferential nod. Vivienne's eyes, a striking shade of amber, assessed Ethan coolly. "Mr. Parker. Your hollandaise was exceptional. The balance of acidity and richness, the hint of tarragon, it reminded me of a sauce I once had in Paris." "Thank you," Ethan said simply. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." "I don't enjoy things, Mr. Parker. I appreciate them when they meet my standards." Her tone was matter-of-fact, neither warm nor particularly cold. "I'd like to discuss the possibility of you preparing a private dinner for an event I'm hosting next week. Would you be available to meet tomorrow to discuss details?" Ethan hesitated, caught off guard by the request. A private event for someone like Vivienne Blackwood would pay extremely well, money he desperately needed with Lily's school expenses increasing. But tomorrow was his only day off with Lily. "I appreciate the offer, Ms. Blackwood, but I'm afraid I'm not available for private events," he said finally. Marcus stiffened beside him, clearly alarmed at the refusal. Vivienne's perfectly shaped eyebrow arched slightly. "I haven't mentioned compensation yet, Mr. Parker. I assure you, it would be worth your while." "I'm sure it would be," Ethan acknowledged. "But I have prior commitments that I can't reschedule." Something flickered in Vivienne's eyes, surprise, perhaps, at being refused. "I see. Perhaps another time, then." She handed him a sleek business card. "If your circumstances change, you can reach me at this number." Ethan accepted the card with a nod and returned to the kitchen, aware of Marcus's disbelieving stare. "You just turned down Vivienne Blackwood," Marcus said once they were out of earshot. "Do you have any idea what that could have meant for your career?" Ethan slipped the card into his pocket. "I know. But tomorrow is my only full day with Lily this week. I promised her we'd go to the Science Museum." Marcus shook his head but clapped Ethan on the shoulder. "You're either the most dedicated father I've ever met or completely insane. Maybe both." The rest of the shift passed in a blur, and at 5 o'clock, Ethan hung up his apron and headed out to pick up Lily from after-school care. He found her sitting alone at a table, coloring quietly while the other children played in groups. "Hey, Lilybug," he called, his heart lifting at the way her face brightened when she saw him. "Daddy." She ran to him, wrapping her arms around his legs. "You're early. Thought we might stop for ice cream on the way home," he said, signing her out. "How was Special Person Day?" Lily's smile dimmed slightly. "It was okay. Ms. Jenkins let me help pass out the cookies." Ethan felt the familiar guilt twist in his chest. "I'm sorry I couldn't be there, sweetheart." "It's okay," she said with a shrug that was trying too hard to be casual. Daddy, can we have spaghetti for dinner? With the special sauce? Absolutely, he agreed, grateful for her resilience. And guess what? Tomorrow we're going to the Science Museum, just like I promised. Lily's eyes widened. Really? Even though it's a weekday? It's my day off, Ethan reminded her. And I want to spend it with my favorite person in the whole world. That night, after Lily was tucked in bed with her favorite stuffed dinosaur, Ethan sat at the small desk in the corner of their living room, staring at Vivienne Blackwood's business card. The compensation for a private event would probably cover Lily's tuition for the next term at the private school he was struggling to keep her in, the school with the excellent science program that nurtured her curious mind. He sighed, setting the card aside. Some things were more important than money. He'd find another way to make ends meet. The next morning, Ethan and Lily set out for the Science Museum, Lily chattering excitedly about the dinosaur exhibit she'd been looking forward to seeing. They were just approaching the entrance when Ethan's phone rang, the restaurant's number flashing on the screen. I'm sorry, Lilybug. I need to take this, he said, stepping slightly aside to answer. Hello? Ethan, it's Marcus. I know it's your day off, but we're in a bind. Paolo's still out sick, and we just got word that the health inspector is coming today. I need someone who knows the kitchen inside and out. Ethan closed his eyes briefly. Marcus, I'm with my daughter. We've been planning this day for weeks. I know, and I wouldn't ask if it wasn't an emergency. 2 hours, tops. I'll pay you double. Ethan looked at Lily, who was watching him with those big eyes that seemed to understand too much for a 6-year-old. The double pay would help with the electric bill that had just arrived. Let me talk to Lily, he said finally. He knelt down to his daughter's level. Sweetheart, that was Chef Marcus. There's an emergency at the restaurant, and he needs my help for a couple of hours. Lily's face fell, but she nodded bravely. It's okay, Daddy. We can come back another day. No, Ethan said firmly. We're not canceling our day. We'll just adjust it a little. How about we go to the restaurant first? You can sit in the staff room and draw or read, and then we'll come back to the museum. I promise it won't be more than 2 hours. Can I bring Rex? She asked, holding up her dinosaur backpack. Of course. And maybe Chef Marcus will let you have one of those chocolate mousse cups you like. That earned him a small smile, and they redirected to Bellamy's. Marcus was profusely apologetic when they arrived, immediately offering Lily her choice of desserts and setting her up in the small staff room with her books and coloring supplies. 2 hours, Ethan reminded him, kissing the top of Lily's head. I'll check on you in a little bit, okay? The kitchen was in controlled chaos when Ethan entered, everyone preparing for the health inspection while still managing the early lunch service. He immediately fell into the familiar rhythm, checking storage temperatures, ensuring proper labeling, and helping to organize the walk-in refrigerator. He was just finishing when Marcus appeared at his side. She's back, he said in a low voice. The health inspector? Ethan asked, wiping his hands on a towel. No. Vivienne Blackwood. And she's asking for you specifically. Ethan frowned. For me? Why? Marcus shrugged. She said something about reconsidering her offer. She's at table 7. With a sigh, Ethan removed his apron. I'll speak with her briefly, but then I need to check on Lily. Vivienne Blackwood looked even more imposing today, dressed in a deep blue suit that accentuated her striking eyes. She was typing rapidly on a sleek laptop but closed it as Ethan approached. Mr. Parker, she said, gesturing to the chair across from her. Please, sit. I can only stay a moment, Ethan said, remaining standing. I'm actually not on shift today. Vivienne's eyebrow arched slightly. Yet here you are. An emergency, he explained briefly. You wanted to speak with me? Yes. She folded her hands on the table. I've reconsidered my approach. Instead of a single event, I'd like to propose a more permanent arrangement. I'm looking for a private chef, Mr. Parker. The position would include comprehensive health benefits, paid vacation, and a salary that I believe would be difficult to refuse. Ethan blinked, genuinely surprised. A private chef? Yes. I was impressed not only by your sauce but by your priorities. It's rare to find someone who can't be swayed by money or opportunity. She named a figure that made Ethan's breath catch. It was more than triple his current salary. The position would require some travel, Vivienne continued, but primarily you'd be based at my residence in the city. You'd have creative freedom over the menu, with some guidelines for my preferences, of course. Ethan's mind raced. That kind of money would solve so many problems. Lily's education would be secure. They could move to a better apartment, maybe even start saving for a house. The health benefits alone would be life-changing. I appreciate the offer, Ms. Blackwood, he said carefully. But I have a 6-year-old daughter. My schedule needs to accommodate her needs. I'm aware, Vivienne said coolly. I've done my research, Mr. Parker. Your daughter is in first grade at Westbrook Academy. An excellent school, though I imagine the tuition is challenging on your current salary. Ethan stiffened, uncomfortable with the idea that she'd investigated his personal life. My daughter is not negotiable. I'm not suggesting she should be. The position would include regular hours, with evenings and weekends free unless there's a special event, which would be scheduled well in advance. She paused. I'm offering you stability, Mr. Parker. Something I suspect has been elusive in your life. Before Ethan could respond, a small voice called from behind him. Daddy? He turned to see Lily standing there, clutching her dinosaur backpack, her eyes wide as she took in the elegant woman at the table. Lily Bug, what are you doing out here? Ethan asked gently, moving to her side. I finished my book, and I was looking for you, she explained, her eyes still on Vivienne. Is she a princess? She whispered, not quite quietly enough. A flicker of something, amusement, perhaps, crossed Vivienne's face. Not quite, she said, addressing Lily directly. Though I do live in a very large house. Like a castle? Lily asked, her natural curiosity overcoming her shyness. It has towers, Vivienne acknowledged. And a garden. With flowers? And vegetables. I grow my own tomatoes. Lily's eyes widened. My daddy makes the best tomato sauce in the whole world. I believe it, Vivienne said, her voice softening almost imperceptibly. That's why I was hoping he might come cook in my kitchen. Lily looked up at Ethan with sudden concern. But then who would cook for me? That's a very good question, Ethan said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. And it's something amiss.